Hello, this is Gunther for EDF 320, and today we'll be talking about the Greed Simple Love by Bell Hooks, Little Town Tragedy, an article about a kid shooting up a school, Gatto's 7-lesson school teacher, and McCarthy's Why Johnny Can't Behave. And the reason why we're talking about this, in my opinion, is because it all has to deal with the hidden agenda. Whether in society or whether in a school setting, we teach our kids that, there are some things you don't do. Like, for instance, when you're, let me think of a good example, when you're like trying to, sorry, I've been up for like 6 hours, so trying to get this to work. Anyway, trying to be hyper obedient, as Why Johnny Can't Blame Himself by McCarthy explains is. It's that we want hyper obedience in the workplace, and so we use the tactics in school to train the youngsters about being obedient to their corporate overlords. Also, in Why Johnny Can't Behave, it talks about basically that the semblance of Hitler and Jim Johns would follow Hitler because he has been taught the art of hyper-obedience. And I think that really sticks out because schools nowadays expect you to do this, and this right then and there with no feedback, I couldn't do it because this assignment was critically challenging me or something like that. And I think that's true for a lot of cases. I've had one kid actually kill himself based on the schoolwork and the problems that he wasn't getting addressed because he thought it was all work, and there was no one supporting him. Anyway, in Greed Simply Love by Bell Hooks, I learned that we live in a nation filled with materialistic greed. And what that basically means is we value money more than anything nowadays. It's not like it was talking about prior to the Vietnam War, our perspectives on, if you ask Billy Joe, what do you see yourself in the future? He'll say, oh, I'm going to have a loving family. I'm going to, be there for my family, encourage my kids to do stuff, have fun, bring a good, inspiring thing to the community. Now it's all about, if you still ask Billy Joe, but now it's past the Vietnam War, it's all about, well, I want to make sure that I have a good financial future for my kid, and, I want to make sure that, I make enough money and that everything that I have is kept the way it is and stuff like that, and that people rarely cherish the community anymore. They don't cherish the community, they go cherish the connections, they cherish money and materialistic goods. And the only way to combat this is love and compassion, which negates the need for greed. Now, I would have to disagree with this one because I don't think everybody in the society is brought up on materialistic greed. For example, I remember a story about a old guy. I can't remember what it was. It was about 3 years ago, so it's hard on my memory. But we were in ninth grade. We were talking about a guy, and I think he showed up on Fox News about him. He's like 90 years old, He's very decrepit. He lives in a dirty ass apartment, and I don't mean to say the A word, but it just came out of my mouth, so sorry. But he lives in a dirty apartment, no AC, can't do anything on his own, and he sees people doing good things in the community, like an old woman teaching kids how to jump rope and running around with them. And when you stop and he sees these kinds of things, he writes them a check for like 100,000 and sends it out to them. Tell them they did a good job. And he has no money in his bank account, in other words. And he said, yeah, I was just looking for inspiration, and I bought a jacket from a thrift store, and it had a passage from Peter saying to never give up on your true intentions. And so it kept him to keep going. Anyway, so that's why I oppose this argument here. Little Town Tragedy was an article, it was kind of like a news article that was talking about a place called Little Town and how a person has shot up a lot of people in a school. And then, yeah. And then, I'm sorry, I thought I got my, things mixed up. Anyway. And that the way that people think of school is like a social clique. And they demean other cliques in insults, and they put them down. And this may have, caused him to break psychologically into killing everyone. They also said this is because of testing, because the smarter you are, the better clique you'll get into, and therefore you'll get better. There's no need for compassion, and youth are being alienated against themselves. And so I think this is true, honestly. The whole part of, we view things in social cliques. Because if you remember from psychology class, back when I was in senior year of high school, I remember that most people see themselves in social cliques. And, it comes comforting to them to see themselves in social cliques. That's why you hang out with friends you do, because they have similar things to you. And that's why you start to mend everything together into, oh, these are the geeks, these are the scholars, these are the, thraft kids who want to, go on their motorcycles every night, and these are the kids who are the junkies. You think of this, and you start putting the words to those connections and those social cliques, because, well, that's all we've been taught, is to put a label on something. Oh, these are the Democrats. Let's put a label, when the Democrats were not even a party of the Democrats. They were actually a party of 10 people who believed in the same thing, but different motives of how to do it, and then 2 people from the Republican Party, which is kind of funny, and no one ever thinks about that anymore. And so you get this alteration of, let's put a label on this, and then everybody goes, okay, well, that label means this, and therefore it's a social clique and stuff like that. And last one is the Gatto 7-lesson school teacher. This one's about lessons I have to teach kids, and why, and what I do to teach them. And so the first thing he brings up is people are feeling confused in school, because we're teaching them not life lessons, but stuff like trivial. which brings up the whole thing about whether they'll know it or not. And then what was this from? I gotta remember. They were taught not to care about anything. That, they are the only ones that matters. And I think this goes back to the bell hooks statement of, you know, we think materialistic and about ourselves every single time, not about the compassion in the community. And I think that brings it back to bell hooks form of statement. He said we teach them that emotional support comes from society's outlook, and that society determines if you get emotional support or not. And also, you're always being watched is the four main points I got from this. So you're always being watched no matter what you do, so you better make it a good impression. But I would have to. Oh, and I don't remember what he calls it. I think it's called the number position. Let me look it up very quickly just to make sure. But I did write down that point from the teacher numbered like cattle. So let me just pull up the article to explain it better because I wrote it down and I forgot what it was supposed to mean. I wrote all this last night and then accidentally fell asleep. Whoops. But anyway, so all these have important things about the hidden agenda that basically everybody in society follows the hidden agenda no matter what it is. So this one. And I understand he's being sarcastic. You could tell from like here that he's being sarcastic. Class position. Here it is. The second lesson I teach is class position. I teach that students must stay in class wherever they belong. That's numbering children is a big and here it is. Numbering children is a big and very powerful undertaking, though what the strategy is designed to accomplish is elusive. Excuse me. So basically, numbering people to make sure that they stay in line, and that's what I got from it. Right? I just want to make sure I got this right. Yeah. So basically, it's like you stamping a number on a piece of cattle. Now I know why I wrote cattle. You know how when you're on a farm, okay, and you're on a meat processing farm. I think Salu does this too. What in order to raise money, you have to stamp numbers on the cattle. Tell them, okay, this is the number for the cattle. You pin that on the ear, and then you know, you check how many days old it is, and if it's the right days old, you chop it up and you put it into the mincer, and then you push it out. It's the same thing here, where you put a number on the student, and that's the number the student is. No identifying factors needed. And I think that's very demeaning to the student at all because, I would rather be called Gunther rather than, you're number 13 in this class. Number 13 of what? Dumb dumbs or smart people? And you can see how the correlation of numbers versus how smart you are becomes irrelevant. And basically the number system becomes elusive. But I understand what he's talking about where corporations would be putting numbers on people. I think, for example, my dad, has a number stepped to him based on his truck. He works in a trucking company. And, he's got a number. He's told that he's not allowed to do certain stuff like, make the job go faster, take this turn. He says, why don't I take this turn? It's shorter. And they go, no, it's not, because you have to follow company policy. And that's where stamping a number on a person is dangerous, because, people have ideas, and, it separates everyone from everyone. So it helps bring out the true nature of people. And if you just call them a number, you just see them as a person in a group of everyone. So that's what my take was on it. Anyway. So the evidence I synthesize is that there is a hidden agenda amongst the school, amongst work, and everything else. And that people will cope to it because that's the only thing they've known since, 5 years old. And they're being encouraged by their parents to go through it. Like, when your parents give you a good treat for passing all your classes, you feel like, oh yeah, I'm finally doing this. And in reality, you're being taught that, you have to be, because in day one, kindergarten, for example, kindergarten to first grade, you lose some of that energy to run around and play, and you're getting taught to basically, what's the word? Shoot, I can't remember the word. Anyway, you're being taught that, you need to act more mature, you need to start behaving right, stuff like that. Even though in first grade, all you want to do is just run around and play. For instance, they're getting rid of nap times right now in kindergarten where I'm coming from. And so that's a big problem for a lot of students because, I believe that some kids do need their nap time. In fact, I was one of the students that if I did not get my nap time, I would have severely caused chaos. And, that's a problem. So here's the question I want to bring. And I know that it sounds a little bit cliche, but I want to bring up the social clique thing, because I think that social cliques do determine everything that every person thinks. In fact, you're not thinking about it right now, but the social clique of teachers taught you how to be responsible and respectful and, always be on time. Do you deny that social clique, or do you actually follow through with it? And my perspective is that I'm kind of halfway on it. Honestly, I want to be the best teacher for my kids that my teachers weren't, because I view teaching as more of a tool way into a kid's imagination, and a gateway. I'm sorry, a gateway into a kid's imagination, and that you can literally pry open the kid's mind and see what the kid sees and create activities off of that. Like, if there's a kid who likes building and constructing, yeah, let's do this for a math class. Let's just have fun trying to create a bridge. And just show them that triangles are important. And if a person likes science more than anything, okay, let's talk about the Earth and why if you spin it off of its axis, it will kill everyone and everything on Earth, and how it would, and stuff like that. And so that we need to integrate a lot of things from different subjects. But the social clique thing, do y'all believe in social cliques? Because my answer would be that no, I don't believe in social cliques. Here's the reason why. I was brought up I'm an ADHD kid, and so I'm like a dog. I will literally run up to anyone and just start wagging my tail and, you know, having fun and everything. So I don't believe in social cliques. I don't believe in, oh, this person is, these are the science people and these are the gangsters of the group and these are, yes, you would see that, but not every person, would go, no. There are some people who would go, you know what, this kid is kind of funny. He's, a little kid who's just wanting to have fun and just wanting to experiment with a bunch of other kids. Sure, why not you join our group? And that's why I think social cliques are now becoming less relevant than they are previously. But anyway, that's my opinion. This is Gunther for Thursday's 330 class in EF 320, and have a nice day. Bye.